Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Tucker from MACkite Boarding, and today I have a very special review. I'm bringing you the FLITEboard AMP S and Jet system review here today. This has got to be one of the most anticipated releases of the year. So buckle up, grab your popcorn, we're gonna dig into it. All right, so what I have here is the FLITEboard AMP S board. This is the biggest one of the bunch, which is 40 liters, 4'8" by 20 inches. I was so excited, I didn't even bother to look at the dims. I was like, yeah, I think that'll work. This is the demo I have, so let's hit it. And went and got it. Been riding it now for a few sessions, all different kinds of disciplines, just exploding with excitement on how many different ways I can use this board. And I'm kind of approaching it from the perspective of a one board quiver for a multi-discipline foiler. I ride kind of everything, so having one board that can do it all is really appealing, especially when you might not always be able to bring 3 or 4 boards with you, or if you're already at the beach, the conditions change, or you just decide you want to do something new, then it's on tap. So I've been pretty excited about the prospect of this board for that reason, and here to bring you today whether or not that worked out for me, how it did, how it didn't, all that good stuff. So first, let me just go over some of the basics of the board and what's going on with it for those that don't already know, and just give you a quick peek. So this is the AMP S. This is just kind of their flagship model board, and this is the AMP series. So this AMP series are the ones that you can fit with the Jet drive cartridge, which is right here. It's removable, 2 batteries in there, and you can also fit this with a blank. So it's basically a piece of foam that slides and locks into here, and that allows it to function without the Jet drive as just your normal board. So that's pretty neat. I think when you invest a good amount in a board, that is a really neat feature. So it kind of doubles as a normal board and a Jet drive assist. The board itself is a full carbon fiber construction. It is shockingly light. I'm playing with it around here today, moving it around. This is with both batteries, with the Jet drive, with the foil, everything. And I can easily carry this thing around, throw it over my shoulder. Can't say that about most e-foils. Foil drive, certainly you can kind of do the same thing, but it's a little bit different in how the weight is displaced and how the power is delivered. So that is different. And we're gonna approach this like a brand new category because of that. It's a Jet drive assist. You don't need to put a prop, you don't need to put a motor, you don't put anything on your foil. You can take the foil right off your normal board, slop it right on there, tighten it down and go without having to modify, adjust anything else, and that's pretty appealing. This AMP board has a lot of thought put into it. It's a simple design, but that doesn't mean that it's not refined, if you know what I mean. They've really bringing it back to the function of the board, which is turning performance, takeoff ability, ease of use, and they nailed it with this shape. They've got a little bit more width up here under the chest, under where your front foot is, that really assists in the takeoff, keeps that nose up, keeps you from purling, and gives you a bit more standing space. The tail for a board this narrow is still fairly wide, just chop tail here with just a little bit of an angle on it for the Jet system there. So it just flips right off there, and not a lot of board behind the track. So you don't really need that on a setup like this. So you remove it, it's never gonna get in your way. Some nice chines here help to reduce the drag on that board once it gets up to speed, but give you additional stability and clearance in the turns. So this thing is just a beautiful board all around. Rocker wise, pretty flat, mostly concentrated in the nose here. We've got single concave up here in the nose, almost like a hole, or sorry, not a single concave. We got a bit of a hole in the nose here, going into sort of a double hole through the under your front foot, and then flat out the back, just that speedy, create that lift, create that takeoff out the back. We do have drop slots here for the track nuts that are at an angle, so you don't need to take your T-nuts out. You can slide them in like that, tighten them down and go. We have our jet drive intakes on either side here. Obviously, leash plug down here. And of course, our launch pad, we call it, is the controller. It's on there pretty snug so that you can take it in some nasty conditions. And really, there's not a lot of reason to pull this out other than to show you guys or to charge it, but we're finding it's lasting 8 to 10 sessions on a single charge. So really, you know, you're not pulling this out very often. When you do, want to make sure it's nice and clean, but it is waterproof. I'll get up a little closer to show you guys this. So this is our launch pad. What this does is it communicates with the jet drive, tells it what to do, and what really sets this apart from any other product on the market that I'm aware of is that it's automated. So you don't need to constantly monitor your trigger response. If you bump your throttle, it's not gonna buck your nose. This thing is all set up automatically. I'm gonna press these 2 buttons, turn her on, and I'll show you guys. All right, so we're turning on here. I've already registered and updated it with the app, so I'm ready to go here. It's telling me 96% launch pad charge. The board's tilted, so it's not going to give me any power. That's a safety feature. I'm on wing right now. It's gonna give me my wave count, distance. This is all tracked by GPS automatically. That's with or without the jet drive in function if you have the launch pad on. So that's gonna allow you to do it either way. And my board's tilted, so it's not gonna let me do anything. All right, there we go. Now the board is not tilted anymore, and it's gonna allow me to change through wing. What's going on here? The board isn't tilted. So there we go. I hit the go button, it starts to accelerate, lift off. And depending on your program, it's going to change how it delivers the power. So, I had it there for a second. So profile for the wing, it's a 7 power. Oh, it's not wanting to, doesn't like that I've got it away from the board here, sorry guys. It's gonna tell you how long it takes to accelerate, what the sustained thrust amount is, how long it takes to engage after you hit the button. So say for winging, for instance, you hit this button, it's gonna delay a second before it starts to accelerate. And then the acceleration is gonna be a bit more gradual than it would be taking off on a wave, because you want that nose to stay a little flatter. You're gonna climb to the surface and kind of start taking off. You're not paddling along with it, so it's just gotta build a bit more takeoff. At least that's the way I have mine set. And then it's gonna kind of hold it there for a second while you plane up and take off. As soon as the board comes off the water, the sensors are gonna know that you're not in the water anymore, automatically cut out, and now you're just foiling like normal. You didn't have to do anything other than just hit that button, grab your wing, take off and ride. It's unreal. Really easiest takeoff ever. In terms of prone riding, you got some other considerations. You can adjust that based on your ability, how you want to ride, the conditions of the day, but you get the idea. It's all customizable, but the ones that they come preloaded with, that's wing, prone, downwind, are a great place to start for those specific instances, and then kind of refine it from there depending on your situation. You can do all that on the water here. So go ahead and watch the tutorial video from FLITElab to learn how to use your launch pad and adjust those settings, because the better you get at tuning it for your riding, the better it's going to be, the easier it's going to be. And it's kind of just fun to play with, to decide, you know, what you can do with it and how you want to take off for any given day. You know, if it's just wanting to bam, hit it and go and rock it right into a wave, that's great. If you want it to be a little bit more gradual and kind of climb to the surface and keep the nose flat for like a sinker start, it'll definitely allow you to do that as well. But man, I'm having a lot of success just with the standard settings on this, so I would say start there. Some other things that's going on with this, you have 2 battery indicators here, so I'll show you that. There's 2 batteries. It's going to tell you, oh, it doesn't like me. There it is. It'll tell you, sorry, it's telling me I'm tilted because I'm showing it to you here, but it's going to tell you these are both fully charged. It will run on 1 battery, but with less thrust. So what you really want are 2 batteries that are kind of similarly charged. And that's going to give you the maximum thrust and range for the whole remainder of the for the session. You can run them at different percentages. It's just going to change how the power is delivered for the entire life of the session. So pretty amped again on how well this works. When I first heard the idea, I was very intrigued, but I was a little skeptical about the weight and how the jet drive would compare to something like a foil drive where there's a prop in the water for takeoff. You start to think, okay, well, when you start to lift, are you just going to totally lose power and drop? But that doesn't happen because there's no extra drag on the mast. It lifts off really naturally. It's nice that when you come onto foil, you're not getting that acceleration that you have to then stomp down and hold down. It really, lifts off really seamlessly. So I've been pretty stoked on what it can do that way. Let me show you here again. That's the takeoff. It's gonna know, hey, I'm not in the water. Jet above water. Shuts off automatically. This other button here is primarily important when you're getting out into the water or when you're paddling back out. This is your paddle assist. So this is gonna deliver a lower amount of thrust to just amplify what you're doing when you're paddling. It's gonna make you paddle that much faster, get back out to the lineup, duck dive under some waves, and then you can, bam, boost that thing if you really need to dive deep under a wave, go a longer distance, and that'll help you punch through the back with less stress, faster, fewer waves on the head, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty sick. I tried it yesterday, just out winging. We didn't have a lot of waves for proning, but just getting out, towing the wing behind me, paddling with the paddle assist on, it's nice. You can just keep it moving. You feel like you create more glide out of your paddles where you're not like surging ahead and then stopping and surging ahead and stopping. You're kind of just always moving, and then your paddles just give it a little extra oomph and speed, and you almost kind of like plane up when you're paddling out. So that's pretty neat stuff. And yeah, just completely stoked on this new option here. Let me put her back in. A quick twist. You want to make sure you get it to click, and the FLITElab logo is facing the nose. Then you're locked in, ready to go for your session. What we have here is something new, something special. One thing I forgot to mention on the board side here, the deck is just slightly concave. It's almost dead flat, and then when you get up towards the rails here, there's just a tiny bit of ramp so that you can feel that, gain that extra leverage over your bigger foils. You have tons of real estate. Even though this board isn't super wide, the pad comes right to the edge, and deck comes right to the, within maybe 3/4 of an inch of the apex of the rail. So that's unique, and I love it because it gives you that purchase. It gives you that torque for the most high performance turns, for the uncompromising performance when you don't need to ride a board that's so wide, especially with the Jet, but you still have ample standing room to ride those wider span foils. So if you're out downwinding and you want to rip those turns, it's going to allow you to do that with that real estate that you have on the board. Now, board sizing, admittedly, I was a little skeptical of the 4.8 myself. I prone 40-liter prone boards all the time. I can wing, boards down to 30 liters, but a lot of times I prefer not to because the extra length just gives you that much more ease of use, and they're slightly more maneuverable, but not always a huge difference, especially if the shorter board is heavier. I gotta say, I've been blown away by this 4.8 because it's got that wider nose, really a lot of real estate up on your front foot or your knees when you're starting on a wing. You're kneeling up here, and it really keeps that nose up nicely and helps you plane up like a larger board. And then of course the Jet drive gives you that mega assist where you don't necessarily need a longer board. You can take off with this in next to no wind. Just yesterday I was out in kind of a mediocre day. The waves were maybe 3 feet, and I was taking off straight up into the waves with a 4-meter wing, and I don't know, it's maybe blowing 15 to 16. So pretty light for that style of wing. Usually I'd be on a 6 for sure. In those kind of conditions, definitely wouldn't be riding a 40-liter board. And man, I was up. Once I figured out where I wanted my knees, what the timing of the jet was, you know, I'd just get my wing in the hand, hit the go button, start to feel that acceleration, grab both hands on the wing. You start to plane up, stand up on both feet, and man, as soon as you're up on both feet, you lean back a little bit and it just takes right off, jet shuts off, you're winging, man. And no struggle, no needing to pump the wing and work hard and jam the foil and do all this and that. Man, it just takes off so smooth, so easy, and I was mind blown. I immediately fell in love for that reason alone. But since then, trying this prone, been out there doing some para winging, been fiddling around with a little bit of flat water starting. I think it's possible, but I haven't quite nailed that one. I'm playing with my settings, kind of finding that ideal zone, and I was almost there the other day, and all of a sudden I ran out of battery because I'd been winging before that and then proning, and then I was trying to dink around flat water after that. But man, FLITElab, you guys killed it. Hit it out of the park. Never doubted you for a second, but man, it's even better in person than I could ever have hoped for. So 2 big thumbs up to you guys. Now, how does this work for me? Would it fit into my quiver? Would I buy one? I think the answer there is unequivocally yes, for sure. You know, for me, I think it'd be more of a financial decision, but if you're gonna own 2 or 3 boards anyway, and especially if you're a foil drive, you know, you're actually saving money as compared to that with this board, being able to do it all in one with the jet assist by pulling it out. It's so quick, so easy, and the board is so high performance and so light that when you pull that jet drive out and you throw in the blank, I mean, this thing is a high performance machine. It is comparable to anything on the market, I would say, you know, performance wise, just the board in the blank. And then you throw the jet drive capability in there, and man, this thing is unreal. I'm mind blown. I'm sure you guys can see it here. I'm kind of droning on, but really, really notable, huge step forward for foiling in general. And I would call this a brand new discipline, really. I mean, jet foiling with the board, it allows you to do things we could never do before on smaller craft with fewer stuff. You know, realistically, you could have one board, one foil, and cover a whole heck of a lot of ground, because now you don't need a bigger foil for light wind. You don't need, you know, all this extra gear, a big board, a small board. You know, you can kind of do everything right here. One thing I will say for those wingers out there, you might want foot straps. This does not come included with foot straps. This is a strapless surf style board. However, that's not to say that you can't put some in. Go ahead, check out our website, the NSI stick-on strap inserts. I'm a huge proponent of these because number one, they're lighter than installing posts in a board. Number two, fully customizable. You can put them anywhere you want. If you really want to put a foot strap way up here, you can do that. If you want to put one offset down here on the toe side so you have more leverage in your turns, you can do that. If you want to do a V, you can do that. You know, you can do whatever you want with those. So if you do want to add straps to these boards, consider those. And at the end of the day, if you end up ripping one off the board, it's easy to fix. It's cheaper than an ER visit if you had broken your ankle. And we found them to be extremely durable over the last 5-6 years that we've been selling and using them here at the shop. So that's a plug for the stick-on inserts. If you do want straps to really go crazy, maybe you're doing backflips off the waves, maybe you just want straps on it for winging because you're used to that, do it. Totally. Excuse me. And maybe we'll do another video in the future on how to install those with the pad to make it all pretty and everything, but it's pretty self-explanatory. So this has been the Fliteboard AMP S and jet drive system. Can't tell you how stoked I am about these guys. As with all of our videos, we like to try to poke holes in any product and say, hey, what could be improved? I would say for your beginner assist foiler, if you've never ridden a foil drive before, maybe you've never even ridden a foil before, the AMP S is probably the wrong model for you. It doesn't mean it's not for you entirely, but I would suggest one of the larger M style models. That's a mid-length. It's got a bit more length, a bit more volume. It's going to make your life a lot easier, especially if you're still learning the basics of foiling, winging, para-winging, you call it. It's just going to allow you to take off and build speed a little bit more easily with more stability, more board under your feet. And then also, if you're into downwinding, you want to be able to take off no matter what, even if the waves start to back off and it's basically flat water. The M series are going to build more top speed with less effort, burn less battery. So I look forward to being able to ride one of those and compare these two for you. But if you're a experienced rider, if you've ridden a foil assist before and you're ready to dive into the highest performance possible, that prone board kind of a feel, I would say get right into the AMP S. This thing feels like a prone board. It's amazing. The weight is right there under your feet. You don't feel it. You can pump around. You can rip this board just like a non-assist board. And I'm mind blown. They've killed it. They've really done something special here with the FLITElab AMP system and boards. And can't wait to come back for more, you guys, give you some pro tips on some of these specific disciplines, maybe some of our favorite settings and whatnot. But if you want one, jump in right now. Make sure you get a pre-order in. These are going to be an extremely short supply, I would say, for the next year, because it's a highly technical product to make. They don't know how to forecast demand yet, and everybody wants one, really is the short story here. So jump in line. You'll get yours in order of how we receive them, but as I said, thus far it's very limited. So get on the wait list now and don't regret it later. This has been Tucker with MACkiteboarding.com. We'll see you next time.